Welcome, everybody. It is very nice to see a full room now of people, and it's my pleasure to come back to Hexacon again. I was here last year, and I really enjoyed the chance to present again. A few words about me. I'm an independent security researcher. I was working for many years on hardware devices in a security lab, and for the past few years, I work independently, do bug bounties, work with some vendors for consultancy. And I focus on hardware devices and some mobile, but on a lower level. So this talk is going to be a bit different compared to other talks at Hexacon, but hopefully you can enjoy it. And there is also a plot twist in the middle, you'll see. Hardware wallets. So we're going to talk about one of the hardware wallets. If you're not familiar, if you think about it, the idea is you have a separate device. This device is not part of your PC. You can do all kinds of things on your desktop or smartphone. You don't fully trust them, so you get a separate device for storing your cryptocurrency keys. The main idea, you store your private keys, you can generate them there. They never leave the device. They provide secure storage, and there's many different attacks. So there's a bunch of physical attacks you can do. You can try to get the keys out of the stolen wallet. So all of that has to be protected. Also, of course, there has to be user authentication. We have to make sure that only the valid user can actually use the device. And you can sign and verify the transactions on the wallet itself. And finally, you have trusted UI. So if you have your desktop, which is compromised, there is a chance that for some transaction, it will show that you sent your coins to a certain wallet, but in fact, it just swapped by malware. And what you see, you cannot trust. But of course, with a separate device, with a trusted UI, this problem is solved if you have no vulnerabilities, of course. All right, so CypherRock. I didn't know much about it. Just one day was stumbled on it on Twitter, saying that it's one of the strongest, securest hardware wallets. And of course, I had to take a look. Part of it is also open source. You see here, it's all together. This is 5 different components. The top part is the vault, and there is 4 cards to it. And you use them together to actually operate the wallet. What they use for that is this scheme. It's called Shamir secret sharing. The idea is you can split your secret into multiple components. And when you want to, you recombine them back and actually can use your private keys. So in cold moments, when you just don't use your wallet, each component has only 1/5 of the secret. And then you cannot, even if you get one of the devices, you cannot recover it. And of course, there is protection like PIN and user verification. The vault has USB communication with your host, with your PC, and it has NFC to talk to the smart cards. So it can actually get the share, reconstruct the keys, and do the transactions, and so on. And yeah, that's how it looks like. You don't need all the cards, you just need a few to reconstruct the secret. Another nice thing with this scheme is that the remaining cards can be used as a backup. So if you leave them somewhere safe, you lose a few cards and maybe the vault, you can still recover your private keys. So it does 2 things at the same time. It splits the secret for security, and it provides a backup. So it was a nice idea, and it's probably unique to hardware wallets. I'd never seen it before. So I went to investigate further. And of course, with the bug bounties, you have to really focus on what vendor cares about, what kind of security attack surface they consider. And sometimes you see that the vendor has totally different view on security than you do, so you have to be careful. Luckily for us, they do consider remote attacks the most, and that's what we want to focus on, because normally that's where the payouts is better as well. The idea is your host considered to be compromised, whatever comes over USB considered to be remote, and the wallet should never be compromised from the USB data, so it's full and trusted. Another nice thing with hardware wallets mostly, that the vendors often publish reports of the audits they've done before. So you can actually go and see of different third-party audit done. In this case, there was an audit by Keylabs published on the website, which is also nice to investigate before you look and start to looking for bugs, which I did enjoy reading. Although the suspicious part was it only had 7 findings for such a complex, big solution. And all of them were low, 1 informative finding. And these are a few examples. For example, the test points are easily accessible on the PCB, or that you should use strnlen instead of strlen. This is not the most big finding, so you would expect maybe they would find a bit more in the wallet. So maybe it's that secure, or maybe we can really find the vulnerability very easy. Let's see. Just before going to that, this is Q&A, one of the things mentioned by the vendor explicitly. So they say, if your PC is hacked, the wallet always safe, because the keys are always there, they cannot be compromised, it's well protected. So let's see if it's true. We have the source code, and it really took around an hour to find this. Hopefully you can read it. There's a mem copy. When the device boots, you can send USB packets right away. So the user plugs in the device, it already waits for USB communication. You don't even need to enter the PIN yet, because the wallet just waits. It only has 1/5 of the secrets, this 1/5 share. So it can receive communication, but cannot do transactions yet. And only when the user uses the card, then the keys are reconstructed, and then the secrets are there. So we already can send packets, and we can see here the mem copy. You can send the packets in chunks, and the wallet collects them all together. And there is not sufficient length checks on this check. The thing is, you can provide the number of packets the wallet expects as the first init packet, and then the wallet accepts them in order, and then each chunk max 64 bytes because of USB. But the length check, as I mentioned, is not as it should be. So that's the global COM.io buffer. It's in BSS, just global buffer of 6 kilobytes, and it should contain these chunks stored together. And we can send the first chunk, put the payload there, the second chunk, so on, and then, well, we'll have the buffer overflow. It is a very easy, straightforward bug. Right away, I could trigger the crash, see that indeed we get the corruption, the device reboots, says contact support. That's what we'll do in a moment. But before, of course, when you work for bug bounties, if you just report a crash and explain buffer overflow, sometimes you spend more time than actually providing a good POC, because talking with the vendor and explaining the impact is sometimes more difficult than actually making it. So let's try to get a good POC first. We have this out-of-bounds write. We fully control what we write. It's continuous, and whatever is after this buffer is controlled by us. We don't have another vulnerability. I could have probably spent another hour and tried another one, but we already have a powerful write, so let's see if we can use that. And the nice part is there's no mitigations. It's common for hardware devices, even for devices which are supposed to be more protected, not to have ASLR or cookies or anything. So it's really a shame that it's in 2025. That's the state for some devices of security. Let's look at what's after this buffer. We have this COM.io buffer. That's where the data goes in, and what's after we corrupt. There is a COM payload, another structure right after, and the COM status. These two structures are used by USB communication, in this case, to see when the COM status structure contains the flag command state done, then the wallet will respond with data which is prepared by the wallet. And that's the normal operation. So what we do, we send our chunks at some moment when trigger the corruption. So we set the state of the command to be done, and we corrupt two pointers, the raw data and proto data pointers. They are normally null before the data is finished. We can point them to anywhere now, and we can send the length to any big value and get a big chunk of data out of the wallet, just like that. And the next USB packet just in a loop will send us all this data, so we can get like a kilobyte of pointer data which we choose to read from. That's the nice next step. Of course, we can turn that in code execution soon, but even before that, I was already surprised to see these asterisks, and it reminded me of something I've seen on the wallet itself. So let's see if this read is already sufficient for us to provide a POC for the vendor. Hopefully you can see the video. That's the demo which I prepared for the vendor. The user uses the wallet, plugs it in, the wallet boots, and already accepts USB packets. So we have the POC there. That's our malware POC, which can just send a bunch of USB packets. It takes a second, and then we can see at this stage, we already caused the corruption. And now on each request, the POC can request a dump of memory back from the wallet. The user cannot see anything on the device. Nothing's happening. It just works as expected. And the user can type the PIN. That's the first operation user normally does. And this PIN is one of the assets the vendor protects. So that's the user PIN, which is used for cards. We can see here the PIN was typed, and at the very bottom, there is the number 03, 0600. That's actually the number we just typed in the wallet, and it's live copied from the memory of the device to the host POC. Now we actually enter the correct PIN. The PIN I've set up for the user cards is 0000. And that's what's going on, very slowly. While it's going on, I'll tell you, so there's one main root secret on the wallets which protects all the data and all the private keys are generated from it. It's 24-word seed. That's what the user now is trying to read on his wallet, and the wallet is trusted, so it should be no problem. Now you can see here at the bottom it says found PIN 0000. So we dump that. I have issues with autofocus, of course. We scan the card, it reconstructs the keys, and you see these words shown. That's the 24 words, the root secret of the wallet, which used for deriving all the private keys. And live, they're dumped from the device on the back. You can see these 24 words used for all the secrets. So with this one POC, we stole all the assets stored on the device when it's used by a user normally. So I was very happy with that. We have a POC, we have the bug, we exploited it. Back to bug bounty. This is not a managed bug bounty by some program, it's the vendor's bug bounty. They mentioned they care about security a lot, they've done audits, they have all this scope for different things. We have remote getting of the secrets, so it's fine. And they have 90-day policy, so we should know in no time what the vendor responds with. One thing which was a bit suspicious at that moment already is this code of conduct, which is normal to have, but this was mentioned explicitly many times that you should not create the noise, ask for responses again and again, and do out-of-band reach, which I thought maybe a bit too much to mention. But anyway, I reported the bug. On 3rd of November, 13th of November, I asked if the vendor received it. Still got no response from their email. Months later, no response. 90 days, no response. And then I've done the illegal, forbidden out-of-band reach to the vendor on LinkedIn, saying if they maybe forgot to check. And they told me, oh, yeah, indeed, your report is in the spam folder. We'll need to investigate. And then we'll come back to you. So after, there was more emails from the vendor just saying that they need a bit more time to investigate. It's a very complex bug, of course. 186 days later, I got the email from the vendor saying, well, this bug, we already knew about it. It's a known issue, so no bounty. They offered a small 1,000 compensation and 2-year warranty on my wallet. So I politely declined, and you'll see why in a moment. So that is it. That is the bug. It's a duplicate. That would be the end of the story. But we can do a bit of forensic. We do gonna reverse engineer the bug bounty and see what actually happened. Maybe not the timeline which the vendor expects, but what we see. So to my report, I attached a YouTube video, and YouTube is very nice. It gives you analytics live of all the views. This is unlisted video, so only people with a link have it. And of course, I only send it to the vendor because it's a 0-day. So I reported the bug on 3rd of November. On 4th of November, YouTube tells me somebody watched it 3 times. On 5th of November, they watched 3 times again to see that it indeed works. And don't forget, the code of the wallet is on GitHub. So on 5th of November, 2 days after my report, it is fixed, saying hotfix, fix the buffer overflow. And then after that, vendor didn't respond for this 180 days and said that it was in a spam folder. It's unlisted video, so only with the link you can see the YouTube video, and otherwise you cannot see it. So only the vendor could see. And the timeline, of course, shows the match. And that's the fix. So they added the check, very simple. They fixed it very quickly as well, so technically they understand how to do it. And of course, also, the same week when I reported my bug, somebody visited from their company my LinkedIn, but totally accidental. In the email, when the vendor said that this bug is duplicate, they said, well, we had other buffer overflows, for example, this one. So we know about buffer overflows, we fix others, so we also knew about the one you reported. And of course, it's easy to nerd snipe the bug bounty researcher. I went to spend another hour and see maybe they indeed fixed all the buffer overflows, and it's just an accident. That's the bug I've seen yesterday. This is APDU. It's still there on their latest repo. You can see APDU data. It's NFC. So this time it's not USB attack surface. This is local. But still, NFC data is untrusted. In this case, they get the APDU. The target buffer is 32 bytes. The length is unchecked 1 byte value, which can be 256. So you can cause another stack buffer object. And we could say this is a 0-day, but given the approach of the vendor to security, it's more like common knowledge at this stage than 0 days. A few words about life of a bug bounty researcher full-time. Before 2022, it was really tough. The best you could do, go on Twitter, complain, or write Amazon reviews saying the vendor is terrible, life is tough. Now, of course, it's so much better. You can go to ChatGPT, explain what happened, get some validation. The ChatGPT will tell you 85% chance they are scamming you. And you can sleep better at night, but nothing much changes otherwise. A few takeaways from this talk. For hardware devices, there's still USB attack surface is very common for many, many secure devices. And the protocol itself is complex. What developers implement on top often is complex as well. So it needs much more effort to secure. And of course, lack of mitigations is really a problem for many devices these days still. Secure audits can be a really good thing when you do third-party security audit. But it's really important that you get the right people for it, that you spend enough time on the audit, and you get the right scope. Because if the vendor scopes it in a way that they don't want to find vulnerabilities, there will be no vulnerabilities. And it's just going to be an impression of a security audit, not the actual findings. And finally, bug bounties. They do work. Even in this case, the bug is fixed. But some vendors do care, and they do payouts. Others just use their reputation. That is it from me. I hope you enjoyed the talk, and if you have questions, I'm very happy to answer them.